Greetings, gamers! Thank you so much, Choice, for that wonderful video. Welcome to Prime Championship Circuit, day one of the Swiss stages. My name is Ardog with the Triple G, and I am so pleased to be your host during today's tournament. We are a community-based tournament where we host and show you the greatest in Predecessor gaming. Let's take you from the Swiss stages to groups to the main event. We're starting off with 24 teams today, but only one will be able to claim the crown and call themselves champions of the PCC. In the world of Predecessor, every objective, every blink, every ability and teamfight could tip the scales in favor of glory or despair. These players are playing at the utmost high caliber, playing each hero with superb mastery. Join us as we celebrate the extraordinary talents of these players who continue to defy the limits, push the boundaries, and redefine what it means to play Predecessor. Can we please have some hype in the chat? Raise the roof, everybody. But before we get too ahead of ourselves, please join me in welcoming our lovely desk analysts. We'll start off with Lance Cecil, one of the best casters in the game and talent coordinator at the PCC. How are you, Lance?
Oh, I say it, I think, every PCC R-Dog. If I got any better, I'd split into twins back for my 8th PCC. Cannot wait to see if we get a new champion or our first repeat, but we got to go through the first 2 days of Swiss, which is what we're going to start with. Can't wait.
It is going to be a nutty day. It's going to be crazy. And of course, we have Mugiwawa, statistics enthusiast, coach, and one of our brilliant desk analysts. Comment ça va, Mugi?
Merci beaucoup. Ça va très bien. So, I do fantastic. Of course, I had to answer in French here from the question, but yeah, I can't wait to see more PCC tournament action. I love having the statistic. I love to see what team I've cooked, to be honest, also like in terms of meta, because we had like some balance patch recently, and so everything is up to grab, and I can't see what the top teams have brought to get this new crown for themselves.
This weekend is our Swiss stages, and you know, PCC8 is the event of this summer, 2024. This is one event you don't want to miss. And 2 weeks from now, we will hold the main event where we determine who will be left behind and who will ascend to glory. 16 teams will move on tomorrow, but that means we have to say goodbye to 8 teams after today. If you like what you're seeing from us, please give us a follow, subscribe. We're on YouTube, X, join our Discord, any social media you can think of. We don't get paid to do this yet, and we are a community-based tournament here at the PCC, and we appreciate each and every one of you joining us here today. But now, it's time to watch a video to understand the tournament format.
Here are the rules for PCC8 Swiss Weekend. On day 1, 24 teams will compete for a total of 5 rounds. During each round, teams will play against other teams with similar records. After the 5th round, the top 16 teams will continue onto day 2. On day 2, these 16 teams will play 5 more rounds, until we have our top 8 teams. These 8 teams will compete in the main event.
I'm just trying to wrap my head on who is that voice, like who's talking there. I was like, I can't even recognize who that is. But the first game we'll be watching is VP Salesman versus the good old Bronze Army. It's time to talk about these games. What do you guys think about this next match we'll be watching on broadcast?
So, I think that this is 2 really good teams to start off with. First of all, hold it really quick before we get into that. That voice in that video was our new person helping out with video. Shout out Corvin, new to the team, but we appreciate having you. Very good job on that video. Back into the game though. Okay, so VP Salesman versus Bronze Army. These are 2 teams that could very easily make top 8. This is going to send one of them onto an easier trajectory and a little bit tougher of a journey for the rest of the day to be able to get through it. That's why we chose to show this one in the first round. Probably one of the more even matchups we have between the two of them, but I do tend to lean towards VP Salesman in this.
Yeah, that's a very good point. I feel like it's also like a very important match for those two teams to kind of bring the confidence for themselves for the rest of the weekend. Because like you said, I think they're both like top 8 contender for tomorrow. But at the same time, like they're also against like another top 8 contender that is gonna be close to the cut. So if you win that match, you already solidify yourself to be like a team that feel more confident. And also, I feel like it's two very different teams. On the side of Bronze Army, it's kind of like person that have been there for a long time, like they kind of always have been there, while VP Salesman, player that we know, of course, like Tekken Kid, Grati, Maguli, but it's the first time they come as a team, and I feel like they're kind of a bit more fresh when it comes to playing as a collective, and so we will have to see if it all clicks together or not.
I really love both of these teams. Bronze Army is one of those teams that have been there for a very long time. They've always played in the PCC. Stark, Plato, Cha, Nature Donkey, as well as Sneaky are names that we know in the game, but that doesn't mean we don't know anybody from VP Salesman, because the names from that team, we've got Tekken Kid, we've got Grati, Maguli, Step Back Stunna, and Poggy D. This is a new team that's created for this PCC, so we'll just have to see how they play together. Are they going to be able to harmonize or play cohesively as a team versus Bronze Army that's played together for a while now?
I think that the answer for that's going to be yes, Ardog. They've put in so many scrims. This team that Grati has kind of like put together and helped form have really, really been putting it in. We've got a section in our Discord that says looking for scrims. Grati's in that almost every day, and he's booking a week out almost every single time. We do a lot of scrim review and a lot of prep for this with the talent while we're getting ready for it. And the amount of scrim replays we have that have VP Salesman as one of the two teams in it is very high. We're very familiar with these guys. I expect to see a really good performance out of them.
And also, like, been pretty impressed by what VP Salesman have been bringing during their scrim. To be honest, like in terms of skirmishes, what I call skirmishes is like those early game like engagement, like they have been like super clean, like their CC chain, like having to secure those kills when they actually go for it, it's actually pretty impressive. And they also have like pretty clear intentionality when it comes to their game plan. The big weaknesses though that I have noticed is like if their game plan get like slightly stumbled upon by the enemy team, they don't really manage to switch gears and go for their plan B. They don't really have fallback plan, and suddenly things can start to crumble. So I guess like the big question for me is, those Bronze Army are going to put like some breaks onto the plan of VP Salesman or not, and that would be like a very key point for Bronze Army to have a chance to win in that match.
It's going to be up to Plato, the jungler in Bronze Army, to really create those plays for their team, because Grati, he's one of the best junglers in the game as well. Not to say that Plato isn't good, but they each respectively have their own champion or hero pool that they can pick from. So really looking forward to see how the junglers can really create those initiations and create those engagements for their teams, because they want to elevate those side lanes as well as the mid lane.
I think all of the lanes are important, and both of these junglers have the ability to facilitate every single lane. They can choose where they've got the advantage based on what side of the map they get on, where their strong side is, which one of their lanes has got that good CC gank set up for them, and then just kind of come in. I think especially on the side of VP Salesman, Grati really drives the team, tells them where to go, what we're going to focus on, what playstyle we're going to. And I think that a lot of that is true for Bronze Army as well, especially with Sockcap on the sidelines today, out there taking care of his kids, being a good dad. So he's taking the day off to do that. And Nature Donkey's going to step in. But it was kind of old reliable for Bronze Army coming into it. Sneaky and Sockcap have been playing together for so long. A lot of the times you'd see Plato just naturally gravitate towards that side. You know Sockcap's going to hit the hooks. Well, Nature Donkey's no slouch. He's just kind of like a Sockcap junior that's a little bit older. So there's a lot of potential for both of these junglers to go to any spot that they want. But we'll have to see how the draft kind of plays out to get an idea of where we think they're going to path to early.
That's a very fair point. Like, you started to introduce the draft, and of course, like, those teams have their own strengths and weaknesses, but also a big portion of Predecessor game are determined by like how good your draft is. And I think that's something that, like I was saying in introduction, since we're on a new patch, like we got a lot of outliers that had been like put back into place thanks to the 2 balance patch that we got like back to back the past 2 weeks. And so I feel like the meta is pretty open. Of course, like there are still things that are pretty strong, but I feel like a lot more options are available. And I feel like in this type of match, when like it's new team, probably we're looking more like at comfort picks. And so I'm quite curious what both of those teams are going to bring.
Yeah, V19 patch just released, and you're right, Mugi. They just had those balance patches released to us, and we're playing Predecessor at its newest release right now. So looking forward to see what kind of heroes they'll pull out. You mentioned that they might pick and choose their comfort picks, but I think there's going to be a lot of crowd control from both teams. We know we see a lot of Aurora or even Kwang, but enough about that. Let's get into the draft here. Let's talk about who we're going to be seeing, because we have VP Salesman who's got the ban first. What are you expecting to see, Lance?
So with VP Salesman having the first ban, I would not be surprised to see, maybe the ADC role, maybe a Drongo or a Kira targeted towards Sneaky here, or potentially the Grim being taken out as well. I do think that with some of the changes they made to the ADC role, we might not see quite as much prioritization as we would have seen if they wouldn't have put that hotfix in before this patch. Actually, it looks like Bronze Army might be the first ones with the first ban as we get the correction at the top here. But I would still not be surprised to see it go the same way. Poggy D can really carry the team. You also have to be careful of Tekken. I don't know that Crunch is in the greatest spot, but every time, if I know I'm going against Tekken, I'm probably going to ban Crunch against him. So it kind of depends on which direction they need to go. There's a lot of strength in the mid lane too.
And so that's going to be Desirous, the first ban of that PCC8. And despite the fact that he received additional nerf, like teams to saying that he's still like super duper strong, and so it's going to warrant the first ban. I feel like currently in the meta, there is like no obligatory ban. I think like people are still refining it. So it's pretty open, and I think we can go in any direction. I feel like bans start to be like slightly more interesting in the second phase now in the current meta, because I've seen in many drafts during the scrims that actually like support are kind of in the odd place, and many times we kind of target more that support role in the second banning phase. And here we're going to get the gadget remove also on VP Salesman, a character that actually wasn't too present in previous tournament, that are starting to bring back in the scrims, and to the point that we see a ban on the first match.
And
I'm actually surprised to see that gadget ban there. No worries, Lance. Because typically you don't expect a mage to be taken out off of the board so early, but now we see that Gideon, who is sort of that response. You take away the gadget, we're gonna meet you with another mage, or match you with another mage who also deals a lot of damage with that black hole ultimate, and of course the rocks that he has. But he's one of the top mages in the game, able to deal so much magic damage. We can see that we've got a lot of damage coming from Bronze Army. We'll have to see what kind of other heroes they want to match with that, but we've got the next 2 picks there.
And quite the 2 picks they are for VP Salesman. Gonna secure that up for Poggy D and Step Back Stunna. And that's a strong dual lane, especially into a first pick Gideon. I was going to say that banning the gadget on the side of VP Salesman makes that Gideon pick even easier for Bronze Army with the way that gadget plays into Gideon. But now they got that stun ball from the Decker. They've got the silence field they can put under it if Gideon ults too low for the Drongo as well. So good counter picks early so far for VP Salesman.
Further with the Grux and the Sevrog, and to be honest, like I was liking the idea of the Grux with a Gideon, because I was so, maybe we can go for Torn Space aggressively that kind of deliver a Grux in the enemy backline. But for that to happen, you actually need like another front lane, another engager, another initiator, and with the Sevrog we kind of have it. So to be honest, could be a team that are pretty scary to fight in team fight because Sevarog creates space, and suddenly you have like 2 second initiator thanks to the Grux and the Gideon that can actually create chaos for your team. The only thing I'm a little bit scared is though that Grux has to face against a Decker and also like a Drongo, 2 character that the Grux has trouble to reach or be able like to navigate. So that's something that they have to be careful about.
I really like the combinations coming from Bronze Army, but now we've got the crunch coming in from VP Salesman's. I like the crunch pick. He offers a lot of that engage on top of the Decker that VP Salesman have. Lance, you mentioned that Decker will be able to use that stun ball, use that Coliseum. Decker's someone that you can use in offensively as well as defensively as a hero, but the crunch, we're looking to see how he's going to be able to make plays in this game. How is he going to initiate for his team so the Drongo can deal the damage? But now we've got the 2 bans that are just missing, but they're banning out the Narbash.
And I think it makes sense. You know, they already have their support locked up. I guess they could get flexy with their Decker and put it in the mid. I don't think Maguli's going to do that. I've seen a lot of Maguli play. He's not a Decker mid lane kind of guy. So targeting the support pool is a good idea. I think that Narbash plays pretty well into Decker. Yeah, the cage works okay to be able to keep him in one spot with a crash bang boom, but the range on it is still very large. I am interested to see what Bronze Army is going to ban out here. If I was them, I might be biased. I think I'm banning Argus. I don't want to play Gideon into that. But I might be looking to pick that up for support for myself if I'm on the side of Bronze Army, depending on what Nature Donkey is looking to carry. That ban should be coming through soon. But I also want to talk about Crunch that was picked up in the last rotation. On a team like VP Salesman, you'd kind of default and think that, hey, that's probably Tekken's pick. Grady also a phenomenal Crunch. It's one of his favorite heroes. If you ever tune into the stream, he talks about Crunch pretty much every time he's on it, that he wish he could play it all of the time. Actually, it looks like the Kalari is going to get banned out. What do you think the focus of that is there, Mugi?
Well, I think maybe they were scared and they don't want to like receive too much pressure onto the dual lane, because to be fair, like facing Decker and Drongo when you don't have like a safe support like Narbash, and like Muriel can be picked, he's a very strong support, but it's dangerous, so maybe you're looking for a phase. But like I guess like the Kalari was very scary for like the snowballing, and also scary with imagine Grati like Tekken get the crunch, and suddenly like if we face against the Sevarog the Grux, like the Kalari can come, and now you start snowballing both side lanes, and suddenly the game become unplayable. Like one question I had for VP Salesman first pick is like, do they go like really into this idea of early mid game with like dominating lane first and they don't bring any frontliners, or do they want to be slightly more conservative? And it feels like with the Quang pick we still like want to have some option to be able to fight in the late games. Here on Bronze Army, we're actually gonna bring the Rictor Murdoch. So we're trying like to fight back a little bit. Rictor Murdoch, like a pretty deadly dual lane. But I feel like we're lacking a little bit of damage on the side of Bronze Army. But at least now we have like one of the only counter for the crunch that was like kind of free because the Decker and the Drongo was already in his own team.
Yeah, I agree with you, Mugi. We are lacking that damage from on the side of Bronze Army, but we'll have to see if that Grux is also going to be able to scale and just Grux his way through the game. But looking at the other side, VP Salesman locking in Grim along with Drongo, we're looking at 280 carries. I believe we're looking at Grim, who's going to be played in the mid lane, piloted there by Maguli. So that's a lot of damage coming in from VP Salesman, but at the same time, a lot of physical power damage though.
It is a lot of physical power damage, and I think that this game, at least early, for Plato on the side of Bronze Army, who's looking like he's going to be piloting the Grux, is about getting to Maguli on that Grim. The rest of these targets are going to be very hard for a Grux to lock down, as Mugi mentioned earlier within this draft. Really, his only target and priority can be Grim. Yeah, he's got the one spell shield. Grux has kind of got 2 combo CCs that he puts out on you right away, so hopefully he can get him with one of the 2 of those, and I think that's going to dictate this early game. I think if Bronze Army can't get onto Maguli very early, it's going to be a little tough as the game progresses for Bronze Army, but I do like the front line that they've built for themselves.
I feel like on the side of VP Salesman, like in the lethal fight, they have the advantage. And I think on the side of Bronze Army, actually like a big portion of that draft is really on the Richter. If the Richter managed to get some good hook on the crunch, or like the Quang, like they have like so much follow-up afterwards with the Crux that then get the CC plus the damage of the Murdoch, plus like creating chaos. And also you have the Subjugate to set up that pre-plash, but if the replash doesn't connect, like Feast or Famine pick, and I feel like melee support are very hard to play in the current meta. So like this Richter is kind of a curveball that needs to work, otherwise it's gonna be tough.
We'll have to see if this team, VP Salesman, will make their quota, or will the Bronze Army rise up? Brace yourselves, ladies and gentlemen, because it's time for Game 1 with Philly and Dr. Shadow.
Hello and good morning, everyone. HD Philly B here, and alongside with me, as always, is the mythical medicine man himself, Dr. Shadow, and we have a banger of a match here this morning. It's like the old guard versus the new, Doc.
Yeah, this is going to be an absolute banger of a series. They talked in the desk about how evenly matched these teams are, and I could not agree more. This is going to be an absolute thriller. You have some of the old folks from Paragon coming out on the Bronze Army. You got your Stark. You got, unfortunately, Sockcap is not here today, but we got Nature Donkey in there again. Sockcap Jr. riding the Richter. This is going to be extraordinarily close, and really, as Ardog pointed out, this is going to be entirely dependent on the junglers. It's all about the jungler setting tempo. The game plan for VP Salesman is generally Grady is going to set tempo for Tekken Kid, whereas on the side of Bronze Army, Plato is going to try to set tempo for his duo lane and really enhance them and enable them. There's a lot of pressure riding for the jungle.
Absolutely. Something, we've watched Plato play in many games back when the Rampage reigned supreme. They were unstoppable, it seemed like, in the jungle on that character. Now, Rampage kind of taking a back seat, seeing the Sevrog, one of our favorite characters in the game. We know how much work he can get done, how much space they can create. Something I'm a little bit worried about, though, Doc, is on the side of the VP Salesman. What's their team fight going to look like? What's their front line? Are they going to be able to survive long enough to create the space needed for both of these ADCs to get the job done? So only time will tell as we get into it.
Yeah, absolutely. The game plan for VP Salesman is get picks, hit objectives, whereas Bronze Army is going to be looking to really force the issue on having large engagements, large team fights, 4v4s, 5v5s. They've got the Black Hole, they've got the Skewer, they've got Subjugate, they've got Grux to do some Gruxing. So they're really more comfortable in those situations. And this mid lane Grim, I have not seen this in a very long time, really since he came out. So I'm excited to see this. I think he's very vulnerable. So if Bronze Army can just bully him, if Plato can just make it an effort to enable the mid lane, then I think they're going to be okay. But if he gets ahead, I'm worried for Bronze Army because he does a lot of damage.
Absolutely, yeah. Some just early trading here happening in the safe lane, the duo lane, just kind of poking each other out, feeling what could be done. But the one thing I'll say about this mid lane matchup is that the Sevrog's not always one that's going to gank too early too often, right? Yeah, you have the Subjugate, but sometimes that ability can be hard to miss, and if he shields properly the Grim, then he kind of can get out of there. So that will be interesting. Maybe that's why they chose the Grim, because they know that the Sevrog won't be able to always gank.
Applying a little bit of pressure here to Cha in the mid lane. He's just saying, hey, I'm nearby. You don't get comfortable in the mid lane hitting creeps because I am going to dash out of a fog wall and punch you. So really, I mean, that's Grady applying the tempo, and now he's doing an invade onto the opposing red side jungle.
We do see Grux on the minimap, though, making a little bit of a maneuver to probably the river buff there and might make his way up the stairs. No, Lex maybe to go back to it. But folks at home, definitely be watching that minimap because people are going to be moving. They're going to be shaking and grooving to try to get themselves prio in the lanes and then try to get something off of it. Here we see Plato. It could be making this rotation now, Doc.
Yeah, this is going to be, he's waiting, he's hunting. I don't know I think Maguli's gonna. Yeah, Maguli is onto it. He knows. He popped a displacement blast over to just kind of say, "I know you're there." So he's not super worried right now. But I really liked Stark's rotation there to get the right river buff. He realized, oh my God, first blood going down. Grady and Stark, just Grady doing crunch things, chasing. He also managed to burn the flash from the Grux, or the blink from the Grux. So Grux not only gives up first blood, but he also is going to be in a very bad situation heading back into the lane in about 30 seconds.
Yeesh. I mean, and that's, Doc, that's also huge for Quang, because Quang, I think, was a little bit behind there as well. Here's Play-Doh. He's coming in from the behind, the subjugate and the bubble, like we described, easily getting past it. Now the dash coming through for the Reaper, trying to get something done, and the grasp as well, but not able to secure the kill. He's a little too under-leveled right now to make that happen.
Yeah, if he had a +1 there, he maybe has a chance at getting Maguli, but Maguli is luckily able to just walk away. But again, look at this wave state here. Stark getting just beaten down by Tekken Kid's Quang, but Play-Doh coming in to provide a little backup.
Oh, there it is. And now Tekken Kid is on the run. The flash has to be expended as he got too big for his britches. And it was a nice job from the Severog to make the rotation to help his offlaner, who's already behind here early on.
That was absolutely needed for the side of Stark on the Bronze Army there. He is pushed up in lane. He's very vulnerable to another Grady gank. He doesn't have a blink, so burning Tekken Kid's blink really equalizes the playing field there in that one-on-one matchup, allowing him to kind of be more enabled to do Grux things. So yeah, Stark pretty happy with that, but they are limit testing, except it looks like Grady's coming in to punish him.
Uh-oh, here we go. He's seen this once or twice before. The boom flower already used as well. Is he aware that the robot is behind him? Maybe not so much, or maybe he's going to go to the mini prime and do a little sacrifice, or he's leading him to the mid lane. Okay, I think he'll be able to get out of dodge. Grady doesn't have the combinations just yet to punish the Rhino, who is out of position, but a lot of time wasted there from both of these characters, and an invade now started for Grady.
Is an invade from Grady. He's going to be denying Play-Doh resources, but on the flip side of the map, on that left side blue side, they are, on the side of Bronze Army, able to claim the first Fangtooth of the game. So they may be down a kill, but they are up in objectives, and as you know, this game is all about objectives. They got that first Fangtooth. They now have an advantage to all buffs that they secure. All buffs will be lasting 50% longer throughout the duration of the game, so this could... I think that's a great trade-off there at this point. Stark not dying.
For sure. And I think, Doc, it's because they knew Grady was on the red side jungle, so obviously being the jungler with the smite wouldn't get there in time to, provide a steal or anything like that. So they said, okay, we have some damage, we have the resources, let's go in and try to take this quick, and they do.
Yeah, this is looking good so far, but a nice little trade coming out here. Nature's Donkey getting the whiplash.
And that is huge now, just taking the brunt of the damage, just taking those revolver shots and the aim pistols as well. The strike comes through to do a little bit of damage to Sneaky. No eliminations yet going either way here in the duo lane, but dangerously low are the Bronze Army.
But Grady is... You never know where he's going to be lurking. He is going to invade and try and get this blue buff, but, he's hanging out just in case Bronze Army decided to keep their duo lane around.
The stasis bomb from downtown takes Donkey to the noggin, and now there it is, the rad round from Poggy D come through, and they find the elimination into the duo lane. They are cooking now.
Yeah, this is feeling great for Poggy. Drongo, a hero that he's very, very comfortable on, a hero who has actually recently been buffed quite a bit, does a lot of damage, is able to attack a bit faster to do more damage with the rad rounds. So as Moogie talked about on the desk, tank supports are feeling a little rough in this patch right now, and in part because of that buff to rad rounds on Drongo, just totally punishing anyone who's in range to get hit.
And someone who has seen a resurgence is the Murdoch. We've been seeing Murdoch in more scrims recently in the last couple of weeks, and I, for one, am all about it, because I think his just global presence with the long arm of the law is such a unique tool that not many heroes have. So being able to find some eliminations when you might not otherwise get it could help snowball you and move you into a good position. So glad to see the cyber police officer back on the battlegrounds.
Yeah, that's a great point, especially when you are looking at the off lane. You know, you have Grux, who's going to do Grux things, but oftentimes he baits people into these fights where people are limit testing the potential of their HP. You know, how low can you go? And having a Murdoch on the team is kind of a dissuasion from that, right? Like, as Quang, you don't want to get into a Grux v 1v1 type of situation because Murdoch will just kill you from across the map. So that is a fantastic call out there in terms of the draft potential. This mid lane looking pretty slow right now, but here we are back in the off lane watching some brawling, but not too much should be happening right now.
And that point that is also similar to the Muriel. I know you and I have discussed that multiple times, how the Muriel can also be the detriment to the Grux because Grux wants to take those 1v1s where he does get really low and kind of kills you with the bleed right at the end, where Muriel can kind of fly in and turn the tides. And Ultimate now coming out from step back, tries to lock the Nature Donkey down, just barely whiffs, gets the slow on, but not much else. And in the midst of all that, Grady and company take the Mini Prime.
This is the classic Gradion Crunch game. I mean, we've called out several times already in this game, only 9.5 minutes in, how he's been invading the red buff and the blue buff side of the Dawn jungle. And now he's secured Prime buff for either himself. I don't actually know at this time who has it, but he's probably got it on himself, and he's going to look to continue to choke out the resources from Plato's Sevarog, denying him stacks, denying him the ability to farm and rotate into a successful gank. But Maguli hunting.
Yeah, once again, and there it is. The Maguli comes in with the rotation and finds the elimination onto Sneaky. That was absolutely immaculate from him. And there was a rotation also on the off lane towards the Grux. The Grux this time able to get out a dodge, but I think the flash was expended for him as well.
That is the last thing I expected to see, was a Grim gank. Yeah, the Murdoch just died. Sneaky just died immediately. I was not expecting him to die that quickly. So apologies on that one to everybody at home. But yeah, that's the power of the Grim. He does so much damage at the expense of being so vulnerable. And so he made a rotation without getting caught out and without being identified, and was able to just pop a couple shots and effectively eliminate the opposing carry. So fantastic rotation by Maguli.
Rotation this time, Doc, as Cha comes in, trying to toss the rock and the pebble as well, but the subjugate did not connect, so failed gank at that point. And now we have 4 members for the side of the army really grouping up, and here's the dangerously low brawl that we were talking about, Doc, and it is the Quang, the Tekken kid, pressing all the right buttons, comes out on top.
I do see that Tekken Kid is the one with the mini prime buff. Hold that thought, though, because Grady is not going to give up the second Fang Tooth for free. We will touch base on that offlane, though.
Okay, but it's just not quick enough as he tries to go for the steal, and now the black hole is just sucking everybody in, slowing everybody up and laying in the damage, but is Maguli the one who's doing the janitor doing, and he is cleaning up. He says, get the F out to the Sevarog, and he sends him all the way back to the fountain. A triple kill for the side of the army.
That was not worth it, in my opinion. They gave up 3 major kills. They have 0 kills on the scoreboard. They're currently down about 60 CS across the map already at 10, 11 minutes, 12 minutes into the game, sorry. They're just losing monetary value all the way across the map. And sure, they got second Fang Tooth. They have 8% movement speed, but at what cost?
What is this? The tower time coming in from Grady, the knockup as well. The displacement shot.
God.
Oh no. The long arm of the law as well, cutting through the map. But my goodness, so close. I feel like if Maguli had one more item online, that would have been the doom for his opposing number. And here's Plato now coming in to save the day, just thwarting the advance, making sure nobody else steps up to the plate. But my goodness, that health bar got jumped.
Maguli is putting on a showcase as to why Grim just is probably going to get first round banned again moving forward into this tournament. The amount of damage that he is pumping out. All Grady had to do was knock up the Gideon, and Maguli just almost chunked him in like 3 auto attacks. Just insane amount of damage coming out from him. Cha not feeling so comfortable, especially with this crunch in the jungle, ready to punch and knock him up at any given notice. So I'm terrified right now for Bronze Army. They need to do something to get back into this game, and I think that something is reliant heavily on Plato's Sevarog coming online, which is gonna be tough because it's Severog. He does require a little bit of time to just get strong enough to be able to sustain and be that front line that Bronze Army desperately needs right now. Yeah.
Yeah, going in for that little bit of late game, but something that Grady is doing so well is denying the easy farm in the jungle for the Severog to get safely, and he wants to get those stacks, but they're just not there, so a lot of time wasted as he's making rotations to find where the farm is, and now it's Stark who's caught out in the jungle. 3 people are on him. Will he be able to get out? No, Maguli once again finds the kill. Here is the Severog, though. Can they turn the tides? The Colossal Blow might be coming through, and immediately obliterated as the hammer comes through, and Maguli gets a double kill over here in the jungle. The fight not over just yet as Chaz trying to escape, uses the torn space and allows Nature Donkey to jump through it as well. And the tower in the mid goes down as a full group of 4 is here to just put on the pressure.
2 tier 1 towers down already. That is 2 kills in the mid lane on the offlaner and the jungle. That is on what?
Those rad rounds doing so much damage. The knockup as well. That is 2 more members down. The defense just crumbling over here for the Bronze Army. I mean, folks, this is only a best of 1, so you got to put everything on the line in order to win. And right now, the VP Salesmen are looking hot.
They are looking hot indeed, and this, just the damage coming out from them is just insane. I just can't get over how quickly they're evaporating the Bronze Army the tanks, the Severog. The Grux isn't really a tank, but he's kind of thick. The Richter, they're just vaporizing them. This is rough. The resources are just totally 100% in the favor of VP Salesman right now. They've got to be up at least like 5,000 gold net worth across the map minimum, just because of the number of towers that they've taken and the fact that they are up 0 to 12 currently. This is going to be tough. Stark with the flash into Maguli. He recognizes how important this kill is.
Oh, but steps back for the 3, launches the stasis bomb from the fog ball and connects an easy elimination. Maguli wasn't even sweating for his instant as the support came through for him. A huge kill for them in the mid lane.
And Maguli walks away saying, I burned your blink and I killed you? Okay, like you blinked into me to die? Like, I'm awesome, fantastic. So as a result of that offlaner just kind of dying in the mid lane, Grady securing the 2nd orb prime, or mini prime, sorry, for himself. And they're gonna look to continue to spiral this net worth lead by securing towers most likely. But this is looking dire, and it looks like Bronze Army might be they're all recalling. I was gonna say they might be up to something cheap.
and the stat that's not always on the scoreboard is those primes, right? They do add experience, they do add gold. So as we were mentioning, that net worth lead for the VP Salesman, they are making those calls and they are getting those pink slips, folks, because their net worth is off the charts currently with all those objectives and resources that they are just choking out of the map. Doc, this is truly the old guard versus the new. This composition VP Salesman is running, this is like the new type of composition as we're fighting over the Fangtooth now. All the abilities are flying left and right here, and it is the Bronze Army who comes away with the Fangtooth. They get the huge boost in power, which we'll talk about in a bit, but Tekken Kid is the one who draws first blood in this massive team fight. Hoggy D now just laying into the Soul Reaper and finds him. Nature Donkey as well, just knocked up and blown up. Once again, all 5 members of the army dismantled, but they get the Fangtooth.
Yeah, they got the Fangtooth. So they got 8% bonus damage to all magical and physical power, and as well as plus 8% to all defensive stats, so magic and physical resistance. However, they didn't kill anybody, and they just lost a tier 2 tower, and they had their entire team wiped. So ultimately, it super favors the side of VP Salesman. They're up currently 120 CS across the map. All of their lanes are just far more ahead in terms of that net worth, and that's not even factoring in the 18 kills that they have to Bronze Army's 0 right now. So it's looking very dire right now. I think Bronze Army just needs to take a breather, reset, and force a mistake, but they're not going to let Grady's just going to zip away.
Ooh, a nice whiplash there, able to get the Grady finally punished for those invades, but he did take all those resources on that red side for Plato, so he's going to be starving for those stacks once more. They finally get a kill on the board at the 18-minute mark, though.
Yeah, they finally get a kill. However, it is on Nature Donkey's Richter. So that is like the one hero on your entire team that you don't want that bounty going to. Really, they needed it on literally any other hero out of the other 4 to really make it very worth it. But you know what? I think they're just happy to be on the map. I think they still just need to take a breather, reset, and figure out like, hey, we need to play our game. We need to force VP Salesman to feel cocky, feel confident, and put themselves into a position to make a mistake so that we can capitalize on it. Because otherwise, we, as Bronze Army, are going to keep running into them and making mistakes while we play their game. So I think they just need to chill for a second.
Absolutely, as the stasis bomb from step back, just letting him know that he's around. Can't get too ballsy, as you were saying, to step past that river mark and find all that creep score that they so desperately need at this moment. So yeah, right now folks are going to be looking to hit their item timings. Right now folks have about 2 items on the board each, a Stonewall and a Tainted Guard here for Nature's. He just wants to be a beefcake out there in the front line.
He recognizes that his Sebrog is not online yet and that he has the potential to be that front line that they desperately need. Plato has just been standing here in the jungle for the last about 60 seconds because Grady cleared his jungle, and I think he might go down here.
Oh, the Colossal Blow already coming through onto Grady, and then he just dashes right by him. He knows that he cannot take that fight just yet. The stacks are not with him, young Padawan, so he has to just kind of get out of dodge and expend that ultimate. But Grady comes through the fog wall, finds the start, the Warlord challenge, the 1v1, the knockup as well. The reinforcements have arrived. The smash and grab brings in 3, but it's all for naught as Grady finds another elimination onto the Rhino.
Have Plato, who he went over into that red side jungle hoping to get just something out of it, and Grady totally cleared that red side jungle, so there was nothing for him to do. He just stood there wasting time, not accruing net worth, not accruing stats, and as a result, you saw how little he was able to contribute to saving Stark. He just casted a Subjugate, and that was it. But here we go. They got to do something. They got to contest this Orb Prime, and Nature's Donkey is going to get caught out. Stasis Fence, he's locked down. Grady chasing it on Cha. Ooh.
I mean, Doc, that's just an absolute bloodbath, an absolute dismantling of the army. I mean, it's like they're not even in the server, just deleted. They're just that far behind. I mean, Nature's Donkey, even with all those defensive items online, he took 3 shots from Maguli. He was dead. And now Orb Prime, rather, is up for grabs, and they are going to take it.
They die so fast, my words can't even keep up with them. Like, they are just vaporizing. Stark trying to make something happen. He's going to blink in, Warlord's challenge, and just get vaporized.
Sheesh. Yeah, now everybody's on the run. You can see everyone using their movement abilities to try to get out. The tether does catch on to Sneaky, though. And will he be caught out? Yes, Foggy D with the rad rounds once more. Now Nature's Donkey turning tail and running the displacement shot as well. The tether combination, we've seen that time and time again. That is one they have practiced, displacement into tether. A nice combination we don't see every day, but it's been clean out here from the Salesman.
Yeah, that is rough. I mean, them for being there on the side of Bronze Army. You know, you're so far behind. You have to do something crazy to get back into this game. You have to make a play. You have to be active. You have to do something. And unfortunately, they just went one by one trying to do something and ultimately just ended up feeding. Stark gonna blink in, or sorry, dash in, cast Warlord's challenge. He challenged nobody. He just gets vaporized by this Grim. Plato just... I don't even know what hit Plato. Plato just ceased existence. It must have been rad rounds because Poggy D got the kill on him. Holy, they're like creeps right now.
Whoa, the Ion Strike locking Sneaky into place. He's not going anywhere. The Black Hole, a desperation play to do something, but he's immediately blown up as well. Now it's just Nature Donkey who doesn't stand a chance. The core is blaring. The health is going down. It is now shattered, and VP Salesman with a 28-1 victory. Emphatic is the new guard.
Wow. 200 CS differential across the teams there. VP Salesman really entering this tournament saying, we have something to prove and we are hungry to progress through the Swiss stages. So this is, wow, they really just set a message for themselves.
Yeah, a huge display there from the VP Salesman. 24 assists from the side of the Decker. You know, Doc and I say it time and time again, ban the Decker. They're just way too strong. But what I love to see from the VP Salesman is the coordination of the abilities. We mentioned the displacement shot into the tether, but just even the stasis bomb into the displacement shot. All these different combinations were worked to perfection. So they really came in with a game plan today, and they executed it perfectly. But they have a ton of more matches to go today. They have 4 more, so they got to keep their mental strong. They got to keep their fingers loose to be able to keep those points accruing so they can make it on to day 2. Right now, though, Bronze Army, they have 1 loss in the bank, so they'll be moving over to the second side of the Swiss day, playing some of the other teams that have lost their first match as well. So they're going to be looking to kind of come back, maybe change their strategy in this best of 1 Swiss.
Yeah, that was a super convincing win from the side of VP Salesman. We talked about jungle tempo being really the biggest driver for how that game was going to go one way or another. And Grady just putting on a masterclass for invading, denying resources, and applying pressure across the entire map. So really, really just fantastic play. I mean, he gets the MVP from me for that game, but I think, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, Grady was definitely all over the place. Definitely Crunch, one of my favorite characters, just dashing and knocking people up. So a fantastic display. Hope to see more of them in the future. For now, we're going to head back to our dog and the desk for our post-game analysis.
Thank you so much, HD Philly and Dr. Shadow. We're back at the desk, and we just watched game 1 between Bronze Army and VP Salesman. And the Salesman sealed the deal. I really felt for Cha playing a Gideon against a Grim. XD to the Grim XE. Maguli just didn't let him play, along with Grady in the vicinity, also targeting that high damage Space Wizard. What stood out for you that game, Lance? Because that mid lane duo, or that matchup in mid lane just took the cake.
I think that it took it as well. As a proud NA Wester, I am a Maguli fan, probably number 1 Maguli fan. I love watching him play, hate playing against him, but I do feel like that the lane was just kind of taken over, and I feel like VP Salesman kind of lived up to the name. As a professional salesman myself, you have to be able to identify the weaknesses of what you're targeting and exploit those, and I think that is what they aimed to do as far as like how Bronze Army drafted and where they decided to put their people. VP Salesman identified what the weaknesses on that team were going to be, how they were going to struggle early if they weren't able to take a lead, and just exploited it.
Yeah, speaking of weaknesses, I was a little bit surprised by the fact that we see the Sevrog in the jungle on the side of Bronze Army, because Sevrog, one of his notorious weaknesses is that it's very prone to invade, and so you need strong lanes that are able to create priority. But against a Decker Drongo, and also the Quang with the Crunch in the jungle, and the way they play that to get control of the mid lane, they had no opportunities. And in the end, we have VP Salesman 28-1, but I feel like it's just good understanding of their strengths and good understanding of the weakness of their opponent, and they force it. And I feel like Bronze Army kind of dug their own grave as well. They already were super far behind on the jungle, and they sacrificed a lot of resources to secure those 3 Fangtus, to the point that there were I think an 8 level discrepancy. And true, you have 3 Fangtus, you have 8% more stat, but I just tell you, 2 more levels on everyone on your team, it's more than that 8% stat, so it wasn't a good exchange.
And that's what you highlighted earlier, Mugi. We can see from the team comp, there are the good engages and combinations from Bronze Army that we expected, but there just wasn't enough damage. They didn't let that Gideon play, and then of course with the duo lane matchup, they didn't let that Murdoch play either. They have to scale until late game. Yes, they got 3 Fang Teeth, but 20 minutes in, they're still 19-1, and once that 20-minute mark hit, they secured that or prime buff, and they were able to just end the game.
It was an example of how you're supposed to play this game, pretty much start to finish. They drafted very, very well. They identified where they needed to be in the game at the right times, what the spots that they could take advantages were, and they just kind of did it. And we talked in the early part of the draft in our pregame analysts about the fact that VP Salesmen are a new combination of players. Grady and Tekken Kid have spent a lot of time on similar teams, but these are all new as a 5 unit. But they're all really good players, and they're all players other than Step Back that have actual comp experience, I believe this is step backs, either like first or second PCC. I apologize if it's been more than that step back, but they all know what they're doing. And we talked about the scrims that they put in. They've been practicing and they listen to their leaders, and they have very intelligent leaders that really understand this game.
Speaking of that, I think it kind of showed like time and time again, like it's not only about like understanding what are your strengths and weaknesses, and also like when you execute. I don't know if you remember like that early gank on the Gideon in the mid lane, they don't overdo it. They just like come, poke super hard Cha, and then we see that Grati go immediately for an invade, and now suddenly like Maguli won the lane from that gank without getting a kill. Or another time we see Grati that go for the invade on the red, and then Stark appear, and Grati understand that no, I have to disengage now, I tried my chance. So it's also about like sometimes it's not only about getting kills, it's sometimes just creating a bit of pressure, getting your opportunities, but also like not being hard-headed when suddenly like it doesn't work. Like this second or third Fangtus, I think like was secured by Bronze Army, and many teams would have been like, oh, we need to stop it from happening. And VP Salesman like, okay, you can stay into the pit, we're gonna kill the people trying to flee away, secure your Fangtus, we're gonna clear everyone out, get so much gold that actually doesn't matter, then we secure our prime, and that's gonna be the end of the game.
Yeah, and yes, they got the Fang Teeth, or all of them for Bronze Army there, but it just wasn't enough. They weren't dealing enough damage, and ultimately they lost the game. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll be back for game number 2. Thank you so much for joining us and being a part of the community. If you like what you're seeing, please drop us a follow, subscribe. We're on YouTube, X, any social media, you name it. We'll be right back after a break.